Hey guys, Damian Leone, director of Terrifier and Terrifier 2, and you're listening to Horror Geek.
Welcome to the dungeon where we geek out on all things horror, thriller, mystery, and suspense. And, yeah, when was the last time I put a podcast episode out? I checked my notes here and it's like, oh yeah, it's been about a year. It's been about a year since I put an actual podcast out. Yeah, but well, I have reasons. I have an excuse. This. Well, I mean, I really don't have an excuse for last year, but I do have an excuse for this year because this year has a bit of a rocky start. But yeah, so this episode's going to be my top 10 horror movies of 2022. And oddly enough, that was the topic of my last podcast done a year ago. I did the top 10 horror movies of 2021. So yeah, but I haven't been lazy this year. I have been putting out quite a bit of content on our YouTube channel. So if you haven't gone to my YouTube channel and checked that out, I have quite a few interviews with some book authors. Yeah, in fact, one of my guests there was a returning guest of Josh Milliken. You may remember about last year. Yeah, about this time last year, I had him on talking about his book, Deeper Than Hell. Well, he has come back to the dungeon, and he's talking about his new book, The Dreadful Years. Talked about his interviews and stuff when he was with Dread Central. So, yeah, go over to the YouTube channel, check that out, as well as all the other interviews that I have on there. I have a few other things coming up in May that's already been recorded. One of them being the very first music guest on the dungeon. So, yeah, so you might check that one out. And, of course, all the links to all the things and how you could, follow me or reach out to me or all the social media stuff is on my link tree, which is in the show notes of this episode. So you just go to Linktree and look up Horror Geekdom, and you'll find my Linktree there. If you go to Linktree, the website of Linktree. Otherwise, just look into the show notes of this episode. And all the links are there. So, yeah. And you'll be able to go to my YouTube channel and Facebook and Twitter and all our stuff. But, yeah. So, and then in addition to, the rough start that 2023 has given me, it took me a while to get caught up on the movies from last year. Because there's been a lot of really good, this year and this past year, it's a really great time to be a horror fan, because there is some really cool things coming out, and not some cool things too. You're going to talk about that, but yeah, it seems like Hollywood is getting a little bit, it's getting a little bit more daring as far as the movies that they put out, as well as independent movies. They're getting quite shout outs everywhere you go just by word of mouth, and that is really, really cool. And in fact, if you want to reach out to me, you could email me at horrorgeekdom@outlook.com. Give me some ideas of what you want to hear, because otherwise I'm just going to put one episode out a year where it talks about my top 10 horror movies of the previous year. But so this is my top 10 list of basically the horror movies of 2022. Now, keep in mind when you listen to this, this is my list. Okay? My list means not yours. Okay? So if there's a movie on here that you don't think deserves to be on here, well, tough. If I don't include a movie on here that you think should be on the top 10, well, tough. Okay? I could tell you one thing right now. Halloween Ends is not going to be on this list. Okay? Mad God is not going to be on this list. I mean, Mad God is visually, it's epic. It's epic. It's a beautiful, wonderful, incredible creation visually. But when I watched this, like, I can't figure. The last time I did drugs in order to understand a movie is when I graduated from college. And to give you an idea how long ago it was, the VHS videotape of Pink Floyd's The Wall just came out. So that's one of the things that a bunch of us sat around, and I wasn't doing pot, but there was a bunch of other people in the room doing pot, and the room was just smoke filled with marijuana. So whoever wasn't smoking pretty much you got a bit of a head buzz just from the secondhand smoke of all that room is smoky. And we watched Pink Floyd The Wall, and that was the only way that we understood the movie. Mad God, I don't want to have to do drugs in order to understand the damn movie. All right, so visually, yes, it's great. It's a great movie. As far as cohesiveness and understand what the hell is going on, no, it gets a 0 for me. Okay, I'll tell you another one. Nope is not going to be on this list. I noped out on Nope. Okay, and no, Jordan Peele is not the new Alfred Hitchcock. All right, hot take. He is not the new Alfred Hitchcock. Give him a few more movies to put out, and let's hopefully see if he stays consistent. Then maybe in about, I don't know, 5 or so years, we could call him the new Alfred Hitchcock. But not now, not yet, not with what he's put out thus far. Get Out, I think, really is the only crown jewel for a Jordan Peele thing. The other ones have been, and again, as far as my opinion goes. And since this is my show, my opinion is the only one that matters. But don't turn it off yet. I mean, because when I start doing movie reviews and stuff like that, these top 10s will at least give you an idea of where my tastes are. So if you agree with these top 10s that I'm doing, then when I do a review of a movie, then you would know that your tastes kind of line up more or less with my tastes. So you could take my review and opinion about a movie, seriously. But if this top 10 is not, you don't agree with anything on the top 10, then you know that your taste is drastically different than mine. So if I do any, movie reviews and I say it's good, then you'll know that you won't like it. If I say that the movie isn't good, then chances are you'll like it because your tastes and palate is different, opposite of mine. So see, even if you disagree with these top 10s, it still has value. It still you can still glean some beneficial value from them. All right. So let's get started with the top 10 horror movies of 2022 according to moi. But first of all, let's do our honorable mention. This is one that just squeaked out of the top 10, but it's still it still deserves mentioning because it really, I mean, if horror and thriller movies are to invoke emotions and get the audience emotionally involved with the characters and root for them and stuff like that, um or to just at least at the very minimum cause discomfort, this movie really did it. But it's one of those movies that I am only going to watch once. I am not going to watch it again. Once was enough for me. And that is Speak No Evil. Now, this is one of those movies that, you know, I mean, you watch a horror movie. I mean, it's a little cliche where, people are like yelling at the screen saying, don't open that door. Don't go down in the basement. Don't go in. No, don't go in. This was one of those movies, but it was so visceral. I was jumping out of I wanted to jump through the screen and just grab these people by the lapels and say, what the hell is wrong with you? So, I mean, if a movie is to invoke emotions, well, kudos to Speak No Evil because you did that. But damn it, your movie, that movie is for me only good for one watch. And then I saw that they're remaking it. They're doing a reboot of Speak No Evil. Now the movie just came out last year, and already, Western American Studios wants to do a reboot of it. What? See, this does no favors for the people that say, well, Hollywood doesn't have anything original. They just do reboots and superhero movies. Well, you're doing a reboot of Speak No Evil. First of all, yeah, it's a foreign film, but it's not like you have to read a bunch of subtitles or anything like that. God, whatever. Anyway, the couple in Speak No Evil, it's a movie about, gatekeeping and, not rocking the boat, being nice all the time. Now, I got to say, the wife of the protagonist couple in the movie, she got a bit of fire in her, but even that fire is doused out by the end of the movie. The husband is totally useless. He's totally ballless, spineless. I want to ask the wife, is like, what is it about him what did you see in him that you married him and had a kid? Because it certainly wasn't his, manliness or whatever. Because, God, he was such a milquetoast. So he was absolutely, completely useless. And then the mom, by the end of the movie, oh, by the way, it's going to be spoilers in this episode. So if you haven't seen these movies, just, click ahead about 30 seconds or so. But Jesus, the end, by the end of the movie, not only did they cut your child's tongue out while your child is in your lap, and then they pry your child out of your arms and take him away, and all you do is cry, oh no, please don't. It's all you do is cry. It's like, bitch, fight back. Jiminy Cricket, they're stealing your child. And they even pulled a stranger's line in that movie. Remember the movie The Strangers, where they asked the three, home invaders, like, why are you doing this? And the stranger's answer was very, very simple: because you're home. There's no real motive behind it. We're not doing it because hurt, pissed us off or anything. No, you just happen to be home, and we just happen to choose you as our victim. Well, they did a similar line in Speak No Evil. It's like, why are you doing this to us? And the antagonist basically said, well, because you're letting us. And that's exactly right. If there was a movie about being a victim by choice, this is your movie. I mean, there comes a certain time. I mean, you're rooting for the protagonist at the beginning of the movie, but there comes a time, sort of like in the middle, getting into like the third act, where it's like, oh no. Okay, you two deserve what happens to you because you asked for this. All right. So, yeah, but Speak No Evil, if you haven't seen it yet, and I haven't spoiled it for you yet, yeah, it's worth one watch, but chances are you're not going to want to watch it again. And this reboot that they're doing for some stupid-ass reason, yeah, I'm not going to bother watching that either because, I don't think a reboot would be able to make this movie any more watchable. But hey, if the whole purpose of a horror movie or thriller movie is to make you uncomfortable, well, kudos to Speak No Evil, because they certainly achieved that. Now, coming in at number 10 is Hellraiser. The new, I just got done talking about reboots. So, and this was on, what was it on? I think it was on Hulu. One of those exclusive Hulu things. Yeah, Hellraiser, and this time, Hellraiser, the character of Pinhead was a woman, which I understand is a lot more accurate to Clive Barker's original, Telltale Heart, because I think and he wasn't even called the Pinhead in the book. I think it was called the Priest or something like that in the books. But yeah, the priest in the books, in the Clive Barker books, who ultimately came to be in the original Hellraiser movies as Pinhead. And I think the audience basically called him Pinhead, and the nickname just stuck. But if you look in the credits of the original Hellraiser, no, he wasn't called Pinhead. But yeah, the priest slash Pinhead in the books was more like of a he or she wasn't an actual gender. It was kind of ambiguous what gender he was. The woman that they had play Pinhead in the new Hellraiser did an excellent job. Although it was okay, and this is why it's way back on the back of the list. Is, I mean, the original Hellraiser it's at this point a classic. It's iconic, and there's a lot of really good lines from most of the Hellraiser movies. This remake or reboot that they did, Pinhead really didn't have that much screen time, and she didn't really have that much, I don't know, iconic presence on the screen. And she didn't have really, like, there's not like any one-liners that was like really catch on that you see in a meme nowadays. It was kind of meh. I mean, the special effects, the different Cenobites was pretty interesting. Although it was kind of, I don't know, it was more. I mean, and again, going back to the original Hellraiser, it was very much very dark, very grimy, very, when you see the Cenobites in the original Hellraiser, you feel like you need a shower because they're that just, But I don't know. I got the sense that since Hollywood was doing the reboot of Hellraiser, now they kind of, I don't know, prettied them up, kind of cleaned them up a little bit. They were a little bit too polished. And I just didn't get that hellish vibe from the Cenobites in this one. I don't know, they were a little too pretty. Hellraiser was fine. It did give some accurate depictions of what the original Clive Barker story was, but to really wow me to the sense that it took place or overtook the original Hellraiser, nah. The original Hellraiser still is number one for me. But yeah, I don't know if they'll make more movies in this particular universe of Hellraiser. Yeah, let's see what happens there. Coming in at number 9, I'm gonna cheat a little and put 2 movies in one slot because I mean, really, they may as well be in one slot because they're all from the same universe or same storyline, and that is Ty West's X and Pearl. Now, they're filming Maxine now as I'm recording this, so we'll see what the third and final movie of this trilogy comes out like. But to me, X and Pearl, I'd say X is, for me, slightly better than Pearl. Now, Pearl is the prequel to X, as we find out the origins of the killer from X. Which, if you haven't seen X, I'm not going to give any spoilers on this one, because if you haven't seen X and Pearl, you got to do that. Before Maxine comes out, at least you got to get up to speed with the Ty West story of Pearl. So yeah, so get on that. Go. What I mean, I'm sure it's streaming somewhere at this point. So yeah, watch X and then Pearl, and then Maxine is supposed to be the sequel to X. So that whole, and I'm sure Maxine will be in next year's list of top 10. I mean, if Ty West keeps batting 100. But yeah, X and Pearl is at number 9, with X squeaking out a little bit with a higher rating ranking than Pearl does. At least for me, I enjoyed X more than Pearl. Coming in at number 8 is, I think, the first overtly COVID-19 pandemic based movie is Sick. Now, there's been other movies in the past that's come out that has, the pandemic and a whole, isolation and shut in type thing, but it was more of just a backdrop. It was basically an environment or a backdrop for which the main topic of the movie took place, but it wasn't the main central topic of the movie. Well, Sick does that. The pandemic is one of the main topics, and the characters are living in that time, in that environment, and the theme and the theme is the whole COVID-19 and pandemic. It's not just a backdrop. So I mean, we knew these types of movies were going to be coming out sooner or later. I mean, the movie Host kind of touched on that, but again, it was more of a backdrop than a central message. Well, Sick at least is the first movie that I've seen that it's it's front and center in part of the movie. So if you haven't seen that, and you want to have some, if you have PTS from the whole COVID-19 pandemic, yeah, watch Sick, and I'm sure it will give you some flashbacks. Coming in at lucky number 7. This was also a Hulu original, and another sort of not a reboot, but it was a another addition to this universe. Was Prey, part of the whole Predator universe, and I think but when you think of all the Predator movies that came out and the Aliens movies, and then they cross pollinated and had the Aliens versus Predators movies and all those movies that came out. One of these franchises needed a shot in the arm, and Prey gave that shot in the arm to the whole Predator universe. So I liked how, I mean, and part of the movie too was this Native American, a woman hunter. She always wanted to be a hunter, and then just the sexist and just the whole blowback that she got from the male hunters. That was an interesting story that permeated throughout. But the way she was, training and wanting to be a hunter, and then she one of her first kills, one of her first preys was this damn predator. Talk about being thrown into the deep end of the pool, Jesus. But it was cool that how she was able to learn from the predator and kind of use the technology against them. So it was bows and arrows made out of twigs versus the alien technology, and I thought that was really cool how those two clashed, and how she was able to hunt this predator down. So it wasn't a reboot, it wasn't a reimagining or whatever. It was a new take to the Predator universe, and like I said, it was much needed addition to that universe. If it was going to have any movies going forward, this movie, Prey, was what the Predator universe needed. Coming in at number 6 is Smile. Now, this is one of those movies that a lot of horror movies take this route when dealing with the like a demon or a monster or a ghost or something supernatural, or they take the approach of is this monster or demon real, or is it just a figment of the protagonist's imagination? Is it all in their head, or is it actually real? Is it actually happening? And horror and thriller movies have taken that stance. I think even more so now with the mental illness. And for the most part, these movies have done a good. I think they've done a good job. Malignant was one of them. It was like, okay, is this an issue of mental health where it's all in their head, or is this monster really real? And in the case of Malignant, not only was the monster real, but the monster was in her head. It was in the back of her head. So, yeah. That was a crazy ass movie. Remember that one? So anyway, Smile takes that same approach, and it kind of, if you watched It Follows, I forget what year it was, but it's kind of like It Follows. So chances are, if you liked It Follows, you would like Smile. Coming in at number 5 is another Hulu original. Hulu's really been hitting them out of the park. They've been doing it. I mean, step aside Netflix, because there's a new There's a new studio in town, and it's Hulu, and they're putting out some really good movies. There's quite a few movies on this list that's Hulu original. But this one's another one called Fresh. Now, this one deals with cannibalism, which is fun. No, but this one, Fresh, is not only a horror movie, but I like it because it's not so over the top. I mean, it deals with, there's a bit of gore in it, but she winds up getting be taken hostage by this guy that kidnaps women, and he he has a little side hustle going on where he's very rich, and the reason why he's very rich is that he sells body parts to people who buy these body parts from him to eat. There. So evidently, there's a big crowd or a cross section of America or worldwide that are cannibals, and he has, as good capitalism goes, he has found a niche market that he could sell very fresh meat to his customers. And if you ever read the book "Tender Is the Flesh," that book, this movie is not an adaptation of that book, but it's kind of in the same vein. Stock supply alive, because these cannibals want fresh meat. Okay, so he keeps these women around until they're no longer useful to him or useful to his business, and then he'll just kill them off at the end. And there's believe it or not, there's actually, this movie spreads in some comedy, some lightheartedness in there, and it works. And it works. It's the very subtle humor in this movie. But yeah, I wouldn't call it. What is it? Where the hostage starts to fall in love with their captors. No, this, I don't think the protagonist in this movie does it. She and Mort does it in a way of trying to manipulate her captor, and in hopes to find a loophole or an opportunity to escape. But the protagonist, she starts to, ask him, well, what does it taste like? And, you know, the captor, starts inviting her out of her cell. And, he has this candlelit dinner where they have a little, a little romantic dinner, eating so and so. And they would talk about, who is this we're having today? Oh, this is Helen. And Helen, this is the life story of Helen and what she is and who she is. And yeah, so it's very weird, but the acting is fantastic. The story is compelling. And again, if you ever read the Tender in the Flesh, if you like that book, first of all, you're a sick son of a bitch. And secondly, you would like the movie Fresh. Coming in at number 4 is Barbarian. Now, if you've seen the trailer to Barbarian, understand that they've only shown you the scenes from the first half of the movie. All right? After the first half of the movie, halfway through the movie, it turns into a totally other movie. Now, it takes place in the same location, but it's just different people. Halfway through, they totally switch to a different character and a different vibe and a different feeling. Even the way the way the movie is shot is different. But bear in mind, if you've seen the trailer to Barbarian, you have not seen the the whole movie. They're only showing you what happened in the first half of the movie. I mean, if you were paying attention, the reason why they call it Barbarian was revealed to you within the first what 10 minutes of the movie. So yeah, Barbarian has quite a few storylines that it goes from one thing to another, cross section and cross paths, and culminate together by the end. All right, move over, Chucky, because our number 3 is the new child's toy. I don't know if you call it a toy, but it is themed for children, and that is Megan is in town. So yeah, Chucky. I mean, if there's going to be a crossover horror movie, like you talked about, Jason versus Freddy. Now I want to see a Chucky versus Megan. That's what I want to see. Forget going out into space. It's all these franchises. Undoubtedly, they sooner or later have a movie where Jason in space, or Pinhead in space, or pretty soon they're gonna have a Chucky in space. That's when the franchise has officially gone to shit. All right, so before you even get to that point, I want to see a Megan versus Chucky. Who would win? But yeah, we have a new robot doll thing to in the universe here for called Megan, and this was more not so much a toy, but sort of like a babysitter for parents that are who too damn lazy to take care of their own kid. And that was one of the issues that they addressed in this movie, which I thought was very poignant and very applicable. But yeah, it's one of those things where the not what, like Chucky, the remake of Chucky, the manufacturer of the doll, didn't put their safety mechanism on, and then Chucky just starts controlling all these electronics and stuff and killing people. From the reboot of Chucky, which personally I enjoyed. I liked it. They took that franchise of Chucky and they took it in a different direction. So it was its own Chucky, and I enjoyed it. If you took the movie standalone for what it was, I enjoyed it. Now, if you kept comparing it to the original Chucky, you probably hated it. But anyway, Megan is coming in with a fresh. People you can compare it to Chucky, but you can't say that it's the same Chucky, because Megan is a totally different monster, totally different beast. It conquers a different avenue, a different taste. Now, it takes a similar premise, this child's toy or this child robot, and it doesn't, and it takes something that's been done before and does something original with it. Okay, so that's why I think Megan stands on her own. She's not part of the Chucky universe. Okay, she's part of the Megan universe. All right. Now because there's like no on-screen kills, there's no on-screen gore or blood or anything like that. So the original cut of Megan, I think would be a good. I don't know. I think that's one of the good gateway horror movies. If you want to introduce somebody to horror movies and they hate horror, they hate the gore, they hate the violence and the stuff like that, Megan would be a good gateway movie to introduce them to. I mean, there is a dead dog, but you don't see the actual dog get killed on screen. I mean, it's not like Innocence. That movie, and it's not on this list. Number one, because I think it came out in 2022, but I'm not 100. But anyway, even if it did come out in 2022, Innocence is not on this list. One of the reasons because it had a animal death on screen. It was done via special effects. I hope not that they didn't take a real cat and killed it for the sake of the movie, but via special effects, you know, there is an animal death on screen where this little. And since it's a good movie, you check it out, but beware, they do kill a cat on screen. So Megan, at least the original theatrical release, had an off-camera doggy death. Yeah, dog does not live. Now, granted, it was a mangy mutt. It was a pain in the ass dog. Okay, but still, it was a you know defenseless animal. And I'm one of these people. I could see people humans get thrown into a wood chipper and laugh my ass off. In fact, when I talk about my number one top 10 horror movie of 2022, you're going to know how really sick my humor is when I talk about that. But yeah, if there's an animal in the movie, that animal better be alive by the end of the movie. All right? Do not kill the animal during the movie. And sure in the hell, don't show it. You could kill all the humans all you want in the goriest fashions that you could come up with. And I don't care. I'd sit there as like, yeah, I'm eating my popcorn. I'm laughing. Especially the characters that deserve it. That's why Bodies is not going to be on my 2023 list, because Bodies was boring. There was no character in that movie that I felt I was rooting for. They're like, talk about these final girls and final, no one in that movie I was rooting for to make it out alive. They were all toxic pieces of shit. All right, I didn't like any of them. Kill them all. But if there was a dog and cat in that movie, oh, that the animal better live by that. They should have a final animal. Forget final girls. These horror movies should have, at the very least, a final animal. The final dog. The final cat. Yeah, that's what we need. I'll watch that. Kill everybody else, but save the animals. So anyway, yeah, number 3 is Megan. It paid some homages to Terminator. When it comes time to, when they're trying to kill this thing and the thing just won't frickin' die. It keeps, I don't know, rebooting and coming after her and stuff like that. And by the time, this Megan robot is like lost half of its skin and all the internal circuitries are exposed, is still coming after him. And so the ending and how they killed the Megan was satisfying for me as well. It was a cool standoff. So yeah, number 3, Megan, and I like to see more from Megan. And I hope at some point we have a crossover where Megan versus Chucky. All right, now my top 2. Now these top 2 were very kind of close. The number 2 was sort of like a close second, but it didn't hit the amount of success that our number 1 did. But these top 2 movies, yeah, this is where we get into my sick, warped, effed up sense of humor. Number 2 is The Sadness. Now, if you haven't seen The Sadness, first of all, the ending of The Sadness was so ironic. I laughed so hard at the ending of The Sadness because it was one of those movies that, you go through all this stuff, all of this, and that at the end, the way it ended, I just sat in my seat. It was like, huh, that's typical. That is so typical. I loved it. But yeah, the sadness basically. Now it's a foreign film. Okay. So if you watch this, you do have to read subtitles. Okay. But the sadness basically is a love story. At its very core, it's a love story. It's about this young couple, and and of course the zombie virus hits, and the boyfriend is on this trek. So you basically follow the boyfriend for the main part of the reason. He's the one that gets most of the screen time. But the boyfriend is trying to reunite with the girlfriend. They've been separated. And it's not like, it wasn't like bad that they didn't like, get separated on bad terms, the boyfriend was going on his duties of the day, what if he was going to school or something like that, and the girlfriend was going out to her work or whatever she had planned for that day. So it's like they kissed and hugged and everything, and Tom was like, okay, see you after work, see you tonight, and then during the course of the day, boom, the zombies outbreak happens. So the basically the movie is the boyfriend is trying to find the girlfriend and reunite with her. And just some of the stuff that happens with first of all, one of the early scenes in the movie is inside a train. I think it's like a train. It's not a bus. It's whatever public transportation they have in Korea. And it's one of those movies that if you want to get a sense of what you're in for the rest of the movie, you got to watch the train scene because God Almighty, I didn't realize that the human body contains so much blood because there is blood everywhere. I mean, the inside of that train was repainted red. All right. And then we're also introduced to our main antagonist before he turns into a zombie. Now, don't get me wrong. I talk about zombies, but these people are not dead. They just had this virus. And they do explain what the virus is and how it manifests near the end of the movie. So basically what the sadness, why they call it the sadness, is this virus takes all inhibitions away. So a person that has this virus, some of the most, I mean, really all of the darkest, deepest, the desires and dreams and fantasies that you don't talk about, that you do not say out loud, those things are free that the person feels no inhibitions, no filters whatsoever. They are free to act out on those dreams, those desires, those dark fetishes that you hide away in the most darkest, deepest dungeons parts of your brain, and you never want to entertain. Those things are free and clear to be acted upon. And that's what people are doing. And the reason why they call it the sadness is for the majority, a lot of the people, they are aware that they are acting out on this. It's not like I said, they're not dead. They're alive. And they are conscious. They have a cognitive awareness of what they are doing, but they can't just help. They cannot help themselves. They can't stop themselves. They are compelled to do these heinous, violent, effed up acts on one another and to themselves. And as a result, when they have that cognitive awareness of what they're doing, they start to cry because it's like it tears them apart. It's like, no, I'm chopping this person's head off. What am I doing? This is not me. I don't want to do this, but I'm compelled to do it. I can't help myself. And they start to cry. Most of them do that. Now, when you're introduced to our antagonist at the beginning of the movie, when he turns into, one of these psychos, no, he actually loves this shit. In fact, there's one scene, in every great movie, everybody talks about that one scene. Well, when he commits this particular act in this one scene, he's loving it. He's enjoying himself. In fact, he's getting off on it too. I mean, like literally. So not everybody who has this virus has the sadness. They I don't know. They have the happiness, I guess, because they actually. It's like, yay! I could actually act on these dark, effed up desires and fantasies and fetishes, yeah, it's not wrong because hey, everybody's doing it now. Here's my chance. So yeah, if you want to see the most effed up movie that's filled with blood, filled with people eating other people and killing other people and chopping each other people's up, yeah, the sadness comes in at number 2. What ranks higher in my top 10 horror movies of 2022? What is more effed up and more enjoyable what could top the sadness? And that is Terrifier 2, the sequel to Terrifier that came out a few years ago. In fact, if you go to the YouTube channel, my very first guest was David Howard Thornton, the guy who played Art the Clown in Terrifier. And then another interview that I had on the YouTube channel. See, if you don't follow me on all the social media platforms, you're missing out, because what I share on YouTube, I may not make a podcast about. I may not share on Instagram about. And what I share on Twitter, I may not share or talk about on my Facebook page. So, you got to follow me on all the social media stuff that you could find on the link tree that is listed on the show notes of this episode. So yeah, follow me on all of the links, so you get you won't miss out on anything. But yeah, the second interview I had was return guest of David Howard Thornton and the director of Terrifier and Terrifier 2, Damien Leone. Now, granted, the time that I did that second interview with Damien and David, Terrifier 2 has not come out yet. It was just finished. And I think I did that interview, I think around October of 2020. 2021. So it was a good, almost a year before Terrifier 2 came out. They had no idea how it was going to be distributed, or if it was going to be distributed, or how it was going to do. I know Damien, during that interview on my YouTube channel, he was talking about, if they can't find a distributor, they was going to do sort of like a tour, a theater tour, to have like a Q&A thing at the theater, stuff like that. But no, actually, Terrifier 2 did come out in the theaters. And also, it came out, I believe it was October 6th. Because it was the same day that it started streaming on Screambox. And at that time, Screambox was the exclusive streaming service that was playing Terrifier 2. And let's face it, if anybody deserves the number one spot for the top horror movie of 2022, it is Terrifier 2. I mean, even if you don't care for the movie, just the amount of success for this movie, in spite of all the things that was going against it. What was going against it? Number one, it had zero advertising. 100% of the advertising for this movie was all word of mouth. It was all the fans and horror geeks out there that love horror movies talking about that, talking up the hype about this movie. Okay? Secondly, the runtime. This movie was 2 hours and 18 minutes long. When we first, think about that. When we first heard that a horror movie, let alone a slasher, was almost 2.5 hours long, you gotta admit, even slasher fans was like, what? What the hell? How are they gonna fill 2 hours and 2.5 hours with nothing but slashers? Because a typical slasher has zero storyline. Okay, the people in the movie they're cannon fodder. Imagine that's like Friday the 13th or Nightmare on Elm Street being 2.5 hours long. Inconceivable, but they pulled it off. Another thing that was against this movie was that it wasn't put out by a major studio. It wasn't created by a major studio. This was all independent. This was an independent movie made on what? Now, Terrifier 2 being an independent movie, I mean, first of all, the budget for the movie was $250,000. Its box office was $15.1 million. That's with an M, $1 million on an independent movie with a $250,000 budget, made $15.1 million at the theaters. And another thing that was kind of going against this movie was, okay, the first time it came out, I think it was only supposed to be out for a weekend, because it came out in the theaters on October 6th, and it was just a weekend thing. No, you had like, I think it only shown on like a few hundred. I want to say like, it was like, I want to say 800 theaters. Well, you think of how many thousands and thousands of theaters are in America. Terrifier 2 shown at only 800 of them. And now, I'm not talking about, they show it, 5, 6, 7 times a day, or like some of these megaplexes theaters do, when they get a big box office thing or some a Marvel movie. They're showing it in 3 screens 12 times a day, and one of those screens is IMAX or whatever, and the other one is no, none of that. This movie, the few theaters that this movie was playing at, they only shown it twice a day. There was typically a 7:30, 8 o'clock showing, and then there was like a 10 o'clock or 10:30 showing. And that was the only showings, scheduled times a day that any theater would show this movie. It was not playing all day long. So keep that in mind. An independent movie with no marketing or advertising support plays at a few hundred theaters, is 2.5 hours long, and there is only playing twice for like 3 days. And it was only a Friday, Saturday, Sunday for the first weekend. Since it was at a theater, it was not rated. Okay, you didn't see a little R rating thing. So this movie is rated R. It certainly wasn't going to be rated PG-13. If they would have went to the rating thing, this thing would have been an X, I think, for just the hardcore violence and gore that's in it. So you take all those things together, and this movie at the theaters blew up so much that they added the second weekend. And again, the theaters are, and when they added a second weekend, they extended the number of theaters that were playing it. Now, screening times were only like twice a day, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And you might, I understand some theaters was doing like a late night, Thursday night for all you, people that like to go to shows at midnight or something like that. But not all of the theaters, I think, were doing that late night, Thursday night things. It was all like two shows, two screening times, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And that was it. And it kept, and they added more theaters to the second one. And by the end, it played the entire month of October, just on the weekends. Like I said, the late Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And I know my local theaters here even added two shows on a Monday because they knew it was making a lot of money. And yeah, this movie took home that's $15.1 million. Now, if that doesn't say, number one, if that doesn't tell Hollywood, hey, horror movies is a big cross-section of the public. Okay, now the time that I'm recording this, and this podcast is going out, Evil Dead Rise had its first weekend at the box office, and it blew up. It knocked it out of the park. All right. Now that's a big, now you're talking independent movie versus, a big studio production movie. Scary movies are popular at the theater. And I think one of the things that I may do, if I could arrange it, I may have like a psychologist or psychiatrist on as a guest. That would be on the YouTube channel if I do an interview, because the podcast right now, I made a change. I'm just going to do the podcast, just me, and then the YouTube channel is going to be interviews and stuff like that. So you can actually see the person and the guest that I'm interviewing, along with my handsome face. But Evil Dead Rise. Now, I mean, we're just now getting to May 2023, so I don't know where Evil Dead Rise is going to fall in next year's list, but it's going to be pretty high. I could tell you that right now. It's going to be pretty high. All right. But yeah, Terrifier 2, yeah, Evil Dead Rise is definitely going to be in next year's list. I just don't know where it's going to fall. But yeah, Terrifier 2, in spite all those things that, it just traditionally would be against the movie being successful, Terrifier 2 was, is it really? Terrifier 2, if you want to sum it up, it is the little engine that could. That's what Terrifier 2 was proven to be. Terrifier 2 is the little engine that could and did. There was no storyline. The people in the movie was just there for Art the Clown to, hack up and kill in a variety of original, innovative ways. Talking about that scene. And Damien Leone talked that they're going to, when I interviewed him about a year before the Terrifier 2 came out, he said, oh yeah, we just finished, we basically redid the scene that's going to overdo the hacksaw scene in the original movie. And when I saw Terrifier 2, first of all, was quite a few people. I mean, the theater was packed, but there was quite a good number of, I'd say at least a good 30, 40 people sitting in there, and me and the people in my row was laughing our asses off. It's like it was. We just loved it. We just loved it. And when that scene came on, we kind of heard. We didn't know what that scene was going to be that Damien said was going to overdo and take the place of the hacksaw scene from the first movie, but we did know that it took place in a bedroom. That's all I knew. Okay, so when they set the scene up for in the bedroom, it's like, okay, all right, okay, here it is. This is the scene. This is that scene from this movie, and yeah, it was actually. I don't think it really took the place of the hacksaw scene from the first one, but it was a lot longer. God, Jiminy Cricket, it was like a 10, 15 minute long death scene. And she just kept going and kept going and kept going and kept going. And at one point, it's like, Jesus Christ, woman, just die. Just give up. All right? You're not going to live. Just give up the ghost. All right? But, yeah, Art the Clown had a lot more personality in the sequel. We are introduced to what I consider is the new final girl, badass final girl in Sienna, and especially the story arc, because at the beginning of the movie she's really meek. I mean, she's telling her friend, I'm nothing, I'm nothing like my dad. I'm nothing like him. My dad would draw pictures of superheroes and stuff, and I was, I when I was a kid, I thought I was really like a superhero, and I'm not a superhero now. I had an anxiety attack earlier today, and I couldn't do it. I couldn't breathe. I'm weak. And by the end of the movie, oh God, she is gritting her teeth. She has gotten her lower jaw. She is gritting her teeth, and she is hacking. She's taking her sword, and she is hacking away at Art the Clown. That is a badass final girl right there. And I hope that we see Sienna again in Terrifier 3, because it's the way Terrifier 2 ended. It's not over yet. It's not over yet. So Sienna better not be resting on her laurels. She needs to, grow some eyes on the back of her head, because your job's not done, sweetheart. But yeah, the character arc of the characters in the movie was great. The storyline was good. Now, if you want to compare it to something else, Terrifier 2 is sort of like The Empire Strikes Back. Okay? You leave that movie with more questions than you do answers. And that's what Terrifier 2 did. Terrifier 2 left a lot of things unanswered. And if this movie is going to be a trilogy, well, that's typically how trilogies go. The first movie comes out, you're introduced to all the characters, you're introduced to the world building. Okay? Then the second movie, that's when the shit hits the fan. That's when, the really, really bad stuff starts happening, and they leave you with a cliffhanger. And then hopefully the third movie comes around and answers all those questions. I'm looking at you, Halloween Ends. That's why you're not on this list. So we got to wait for Terrifier 3 to come out to be satisfied. It was okay. What, huh? So all the instances and scenes where during Terrifier 2 that you were like, what? Huh? And even as a fan, I could tell you, there were some of them. Near the end, there were some of them. There was one definitely the final scene that you see in the movie was definitely one of them. All right. So hopefully there will be answers to those questions in the third installment. And then, of course, we always have Art the Clown in space to look forward to, too, as well, So we have that to look forward to. So anyway, that is my top 10 horror movies of 2002. Now, is there any movie that is not on this list that you think should be on this list? I already told you at the beginning some movies that I saw, that I did see, and maybe I liked them, but they just didn't rank in the top 10. I didn't like them so much that they would, make the cut. Or maybe I watched them and they didn't make it in any list. I didn't like them at all. Halloween Ends was one of those movies. Now, if I made a list of the top 5 or top 10 horror movies that I hated in 2022, yeah, Halloween Ends would be on that list. Or maybe they didn't make the list because I didn't get a chance to see them. Or maybe they're not streaming on a platform that I'm subscribed to, and I didn't make it to the theaters. Let me know if there's a movie that wasn't on this list that you think I should go check out. And if I didn't see it, I'll try to track it down and watch it. Or if there's a movie that was on this list that you want me to do a more in-depth review on, just like last year, yeah, let me know. Maybe that's probably why I didn't put any podcasts or videos out the whole year. It's because nobody gave me some suggestions. I'm still a small fish in the world of podcasts. I'm still a small fish. I'm a guppy. So I would appreciate it if everybody, within the sound of my silky, luscious, sexy voice, share this episode with everybody. Make sure you subscribe. Go to Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, all the social media things that I'm on. And, follow me, like me, share me, and get the word out. You could contact me through any of those social media things. And, if you go to the link tree, I think there's a list where you could email me at horrorgeekdom@outlook.com. Yeah, email me and let me know what you'd like to hear. Because until I get a co-host on this show, it's just going to be me talking. So this is what you're stuck with. So deal with it. Anyway, thank you for listening. I'm looking forward to next year's top 10 list. Cause hell, we're getting into May, and this year's looking pretty good too. So thank you for listening, and I will talk at you next time.